the admiral comes out with the NCR, and they see me in the hallway, and I lock my door, and he calls me over. He's like, "So, senior, I heard you going the command senior chief route." I said, "Yes, sir." And he looks at me. He's like, "Well, we have some concerns." And I said, "Okay, sir. What would your concern be?" He said, "Well, I heard you have a fairly big name in recruiting, and we're afraid that if you go the command senior chief route, other people are going to follow." And I looked at him, and I said, "Sir, I've never been disrespectful." I said, "But that's not my problem."
How long have you been in the Navy?
Oh, me blow midlife.
I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we are E14. We have 40 years of naval service.
And each week we discuss a potpourri of topics, which we like to call smoke pit topics.
These are real world topics that concern us, our marriage, and our Navy with a sailor twist.
So join us each week
as we dive into the deep end.
Booyah! Hey everyone, welcome back to E14 Podcast. I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we're E14. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the United States Navy or our respective commands.
So take it or leave it.
It's been so long since I've been on the mic, I almost forgot our own disclaimer.
Man. I know. You're the one that made it up. I sure the hell can't say it. I've tried and I always screw it up. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back, everybody. We got today with us, we got Senior Chief Daniel Porcelli.
Oh.
I'm Italiano. I broke it out. Hey, Danny. Hey, thanks for coming to the show, brother. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing good. The one thing I noticed, that should say E15 now, right?
It should.
So much money and marketing going to that name, bro.
I like it. Congratulations. Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so much goes into that name. I tossed it around for a few minutes and I decided no. And Jamie agreed with me.
Yeah, I mean we'll just remember where we started,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So where you joining us from tonight?
Orlando, Florida.
Nice. So we're in the same time zone. You're a little south, a little warmer. What's the weather like?
Yeah, it's a little. Today it wasn't bad. Today was probably about 72, which nice. For me, I like it. I'm not a big fan of that super heat.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's like 30 here right now.
Yeah, it's super cold.
I ain't a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that either.
For everybody joining us, Danny, he's a command senior chief. Where you triading at?
Out of NRC Orlando.
Okay.
The Navy Reserve Center, Orlando.
So. Nice.
Known as NOSC, Orlando.
Yeah.
Right. Used to be known as NOSC. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into a little bit of history on Danny over here. I'm gonna call him Danny. So when did you join the Navy, man? What'd you come in as?
So I actually started off Army first. I started off Army, then I went in the Air Force, and then I came in the Navy in 2007. Straight into recruiting. I was an MA, and then they converted me to LS, and then I converted to CRF down the road.
So you joined the Navy. Your first command was recruiting?
Navy, correct. I went right into the CANREC program. I got off active duty Air Force. I bumped into a Navy recruiter, and he said, "Man, because we were talking for a little bit at the gas station. He's like, "Man, you ever thought about doing recruiting for the Navy?" I said, "No." He's like, "Yeah, give it a try." He's like, "Give me one drill weekend, and by your next drill weekend, I'll have you on recruiting duty." And I said, "Okay." I said, "But I promise I'm only doing one drill weekend. Like I won't show up to the next one." But true to his word, I did one drill weekend, and by the next drill weekend, I was on recruiting duty in Chicago.
You started in Chicago, but I don't even
correct.
Think Heath knows this, but we met each other a long time ago in Corpus Christi, Texas.
We did.
Yep.
I was running that Corpus division. Yep.
While I was drilling in Corpus Christi.
Oh, back when you were reservist?
When I was reservist,
oh,
yep.
Wow. Small Navy. Holy cow.
It is small.
So you go straight into recruiting pretty much off the bat after you get out of the Army and the Air Force. And
correct.
So you were, pretty much your whole career in the Navy until recently was a career recruiter.
That's true. Yep.
Slinging bodies for Uncle Sam.
That's it.
So you went from what? When did you join? E3? When you started?
In the Navy? E5. Yeah. I was E5. So I made E6 in the Air Force, but the way they do it, almost like officers, you don't get to put it on until you get paid for it. Okay, so before I got paid, I actually got out so I got to keep E5. But yeah, so I came in as a same class.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's a good deal. I was like, damn, you've been in like 15 years. You went from E1 to E8.
Yeah.
God, dang. But
Yeah.
still though,
Right.
it's still real good. So you went, what kind of places did you recruit at?
So I started off in Chicago, right? I recruited in Chicago, and then from there, I took over a station out in the suburbs of Chicago, and then I ended up going to St. Louis next, where I worked for her old CR, Kerry Levy.
Mhm.
Um, he probably don't tell you this, but he used to give me dirty looks every morning. So,
That's
but
just his face.
that's
No,
my
I'm
guy.
joking.
It
I'm
is.
joking.
It is. I love him though. He's like one of my best friends. So I went from Chicago to St. Louis, and then I ran a station there, and then I am getting my first division. And I ran the inner city division for St. Louis, and then I went from there to Corpus. Ran the Corpus division, and then I went back to Chicago. I took orders back to Chicago. Ran a few divisions there, and then I went to the schoolhouse, Norru. Became the senior inspector of the inspection team, and then went to Millington. So
Okay.
been a little bit all over.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Millington, for people who don't know, that's y'all's like headquarters for recruiting.
It is. Yeah,
That's a big,
correct.
That's where,
big stuff.
that's
over
where the
there.
big brass likes to hang out.
Yeah.
That's true. So I
So,
went from there and I worked for Heather. So
well, who's Heather?
Heather was the national chief recruiter at the time.
Oh, okay.
So he was like you're the aide. Is that what they call
Correct.
y'all?
The
Yeah,
executive
aide.
assistant. Yep. The
Yeah.
EA to the
Oh,
NCR.
okay. So wherever she went, you went.
Kind of. So luckily, she was very lenient on whether I wanted to travel with her or not. So because I was geo batching, when she would go on orders, her and the admiral would allow me to telework from Pensacola, where my wife and kids live at the time.
Oh, cool. So, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
that's
good, man.
nice.
You get to
Yeah.
go home and see them
Yeah.
now because you're only a few hours. What, 5 hours, 6 hours from?
About 6. I go home as long as I don't have a drill weekend that weekend. I drive home every weekend. I love this Navy stuff, but I love being a husband and a father more than I love this. So
Yeah.
every chance I get to go home, I do what I do. So
Good deal. I never met a recruiter who had sold his soul to the devil, get out of that contract and go the command route or do anything else besides recruiting in some shape or form,
Mhm.
whether you're a CR somewhere at that level or you're running a division or a office. So you did that. You left
I
the
did.
business and
I did.
you hit a little bit on it at the beginning in case I want to make sure people know you did it for your conscience got the better of you.
I did. It was just so I love recruiting, right? I'll clarify this. I loved the recruiting every second of it because it gave me opportunities I couldn't have gotten anywhere else, right? But the way things changed and the way we were conducting business just didn't sit well with me. And that's not a reflection of some of the people we have because we have honestly some amazing CRF. And being a CRF has actually helped me quite a bit with the job I have now, right? Because I know how to talk to people and how to deal with things. But the way we were going and conducting business, yeah, it just wasn't suitable for my character.
That's crazy. Jamie's very professional. I don't hear a lot of
Mhm.
griping and complaining about work from her at all. And even though I'm the person she should probably gripe to, but I've never seen people work so hard, but not really accomplish anything.
Yeah,
I always had
yes.
this
So,
thing, Danny, that you bust your ass, you work hard every day. The good Lord's gonna take care of you. You're gonna make some
sure.
progress.
Yeah.
That don't always happen in this business.
Well, it's like you could be physically, mentally exhausted, but you're still like your body tells you, "Hey, I worked hard today," but you
Mhm.
may have not gotten any contracts or appointments or whatever. So
This yeah, absolutely. Sorry to cut you off. With a lot of times and I call them old heads, and I'm probably borderline old head when it comes to recruiting. We never had to deal with the stuff you guys are dealing with now. Like we didn't have a pandemic. We didn't have, this vaccine issue. We didn't have all this stuff in Genesis, right? We didn't have Genesis to deal with. So what today's recruiters are dealing with and going through, we never had to go through it. And there's no best practices on how to deal with it because we haven't proven that we can. And it's just these sailors are beating their heads against the wall because they're really trying. I don't think any sailor comes to recruiting wanting to fail. But when they go home feeling like a failure every day, even though they're not, right? Because they're doing everything they're supposed to do. It's just times have changed. COVID has shown people that they can make money without going to work. And People don't like leaving the house. It's a different dynamic for the kids we're dealing with today. But these sailors are busting their tail and they're going nowhere. It's like you know a hamster wheel, man, just running in circles, circles, circles. At the end of the day, they're still right there. That's recruiting in today's day and age, and
Yeah.
I feel
And
for them.
it really hits hard because you know that you have to fill the ranks, right? We
Hmm.
have to man the fleet, and it's like,
Absolutely.
where do we find these people that are willing to serve? The lack of
Hmm.
pride of service, or there is a lack of pride of service
Yeah.
out there with these
There is
people.
the patriotism that we grew up on isn't in these kids today.
No.
And the one thing I don't think people realize, a lot of the leadership y'all have in recruiting, it doesn't show because of the way we conduct business. But I've been around enough of them and been in enough meetings where they're hurting for you, right? They hate what you guys or ladies are going through. There's just no fix to it. You know, they bang their heads off the wall trying to figure out a plan, and it's not working. But when I tell you they care about what you guys are thinking and going through, and in the field, I hear enough of them where they don't think that's true. You know, they think the leadership is toxic. They don't care about them, but that's the furthest thing from the truth because they truly do. They
Right.
truly do.
Bro, I mean, when I went to the Senior Enlisted Academy back in 19,
Hmm.
and that's when Jamie just really started doing the recruiting gig. She was still a can rec. And when I would bring it up, you're around, you went to the SEA, I'm assuming.
I have.
You know,
I
you
had
got to
to.
tell everybody. Yeah, exactly. You got to tell everybody your business, for your
Mhm.
family and everything. And when I said that you were going, Jamie was going recruiting, they were like, please tell her not to pull the trigger on that. If she likes you as a can rec, but don't, whatever you do, tell her not to like go career recruiter because they are the worst leaders I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, I mean, I take it with a grain of salt because everybody has their own opinions about things. You've never, how many
Sure.
times you go to command that says you got half the people saying this command sucks, and it really isn't bad command.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Every command you go to, you have people that say that.
right? No matter how great it is, there's just
Hmm.
some people that just a bitch and sailor's a happy sailor. I guess they just don't want to. Hey, if they have to come in and go to work, they're pissed off. So you can't make them happy.
Yeah.
But I've heard that a lot coming up, especially as a chief and a senior chief. I've heard it from other people that they are the worst. But everybody I've met, most of them are okay. Like when Jamie went through final night, I got to go to final night. They made it happen for
Hmm.
me, and to me, that's awesome. They cared about little old me. I'm a retiree. They could tell me to get screwed, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
helped me out.
Yeah. And you're right. You know, you hear it from a lot of fleet sailors. All these CRF don't care about their people, this and that. But again, obviously not everybody's created equal, but you have a lot of leadership in place right now in Navy recruiting that truly cares about their people. Like these CRs and ACRs that I'm good friends with and I came up with. I promise you, they hurt for these sailors as much as the sailors are hurting, and
Yeah.
the sailors just don't see it, but
Right.
it's
Right.
very much true.
Yeah, and it's just a fine line that you have to walk as a leader in recruiting
Mhm.
today, because it's like, yes, we do have to get this activity, we do have to get these numbers, but also I want to make sure that you're good too, and you're not feeling like a
Absolutely.
failure. Like if we have a day like today was an awful day for recruiting. It was just awful. I think we hit like 387 records today and got one appointment out of it. But
Right.
it was a good day because
Mhm.
we had meaningful contacts with a lot of people. So maybe they didn't
Absolutely.
join today, but maybe they'll join tomorrow or the next
Maybe you
day.
planted that
Yeah.
seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a,
Absolutely. Hey, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I want to make one point, and I had some more questions for you. But you hear about COVID. You brought the pandemic. When did you go command senior chief? What year?
I just got. Well, I made it in February. The results came out this past February,
Okay,
2022, and I just got to my command in June.
okay. So you're pretty new to the gig,
Sure.
right? So you did recruit, or you were at Millington during the COVID pandemic in recruiting. So
Right.
everybody talks about the fleet, how it messed the fleet, and it did. Sailors getting divorced at all time high because they're
Oh
they're
no.
they're they're staying on the ships, not able to go home, even in port. It was terrible. It was the worst thing. I'm so glad that I was at a NSW command during COVID, and I'd been on
Yeah.
5 ships before, but I lucked out. You know, I lucked out. but nobody
Absolutely.
really talks about COVID and recruiting. You made a point about that, and it's a point that Jamie has said to me off topic, just kind of sitting around the house on several occasions. But people are scared. A lot of fear mongering went in with COVID, so people are just scared all the time with COVID. And then, like you said, people are making money sitting at the house.
Absolutely.
And then, then nobody thought about this. Jamie has, but I heard it from her that people think they can be millionaires by YouTubing.
Yeah.
There's people,
Yeah.
there's kids out there that think they can make $1 million being on YouTube.
Just waiting on their big break.
Like what? You might as
Yeah.
well buy a Powerball ticket. That's about the chance you got. But you made a good
Yeah.
point, and I don't think people understand that it affected recruiting just as much as it affected the fleet, as far as mission
Absolutely.
goes.
Absolutely.
And
I think initially the pandemic didn't affect us so much because we were able to, use innovative ways like social media and phone powering
Right.
and all of this stuff. But the trickle effect of the pandemic is what's really hurting recruiting.
right, I agree. I think that's right. I think that's right because we were in 2020, so we still had ways to talk to people without being there.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily,
Yeah.
but I think COVID made people lazy.
Absolutely.
And I remember. Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, to touch on what she was saying, how it affected, or both of you, how it affected recruiting. Think about it. If your primary market is the high schools, right? And now all of a sudden, high school shut down, and you're not allowed to go into high school for almost 2 years. That most of those kids that you built that relationship with, who are ready to join, you haven't seen them in 2 years. They moved on to other things. So now the recruiters today, over the last probably year when they started opening up again, now they have to go back in there and start fresh with a whole bunch of students who have never seen them. And then all those recruiters have never had to actually go into schools and do these things because they came in during COVID. So it really is a ripple effect.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, I was talking to some seniors I think it was yesterday, and that I was the first military presenter they've ever had. They hadn't, even the Army, Marines, they hadn't heard anything about the benefits of the military. So I really had to, dive in like, hey, healthcare and education and all of those benefits, because normally I'll say, hey, have you heard this? Yeah, we already heard it. Okay, same for us.
Right.
But they had never heard it before.
That's crazy.
And the truth is, a lot of those 18-year-olds don't care about benefits. They don't because they're invincible, right? Mom and dad got
Right.
health coverage. They're just fine. But then when they get to our age, we're like, man, I'm wish I had them damn health benefits, right?
Yeah.
Damn right. I was lucky. I guess that's the reason I joined the Navy, was because of health benefits. That was the whole reason
Absolutely.
behind it. Free medical. I was down with it.
But you joined a little bit older, not like a senior.
Yeah.
I was 18, 19. I mean, I'm still pretty young, pretty invincible back then. Before I got old. Obviously, you were a name in the. We talked earlier. People knew you in the recruiting biz. You were successful in the recruiting business, and in a job that a lot of people aren't successful. It takes a special kind of person to be successful in that business. You have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to be told no a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
absolutely.
But how did you get? This season we're doing a lot of like team building, coaching kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what was did you have a certain recipe for your success when it dealt with leading in the office or in the division or whatever y'all call it in the recruiting business?
Honestly, and I did. And I think a lot of my success came from the fact that I actually praised my sailors. I just had a talk I was in our Navy recruiting district, Jacksonville, came down to my reserve center, and they used my auditorium, and I was listening to their training. I just asked if I could say something real quick, because they were talking about leadership, and I said, listen, guys, I said, not a single person in this room can do it without their sailors, right? So you need to start appreciating, because the truth is they're the ones every day that go out and do the job, right? And when you get to a certain level, you think you're above that, and that's not the truth. You're only as successful as your sailors. So if you think you can do it on your own, you fail them and you fail yourself. So, and this is a conversation I'm having with them. Majority of them were like, man, you're right. And then you had a couple, that think they're better than everybody else. And you just hope that it resonates with the ones that care. But it's the truth. So my recipe was the fact that I believe in servant leadership. I just want to be clear with that. I don't
Right.
think me helping somebody or doing part of their job to help them out and release some stress makes me less of a senior chief.
Yeah, I agree.
If I could do something to take it off your plate so you could focus on other things, I think that's a recipe for a win. But as far as that, I would always praise my sailors. I asked a lot of questions on their personal side though, because if a sailor is broken, it's okay to tell them, look, know what, go home for today, fix your stuff, but I need you back tomorrow ready to go to work, right? Because I don't need you dwelling on this shit and letting it build up to the point where you bring nothing to the organization. I need you to fix home so you concentrate on work.
Yeah.
So I think that was my recipe, and it was genuine. Like I know they genuinely knew I cared.
Yeah.
I would know their family's name. I would know their spouse's name, their kid's name. Those are the things that were important to me, so we could concentrate on them and focus on work after. But again, times were a little different than today, but leadership don't change.
No, the leadership don't change. So basically, you're telling us you were a human being.
Absolutely.
I'm serious. I
Not a
mean,
robot.
Absolutely.
you'll be surprised of the robots that are out there that I saw. I couldn't believe it. I had peers that were like that, and I'm like, what the hell?
I do too. I do
And
too, and it's sickening.
I can't believe it. Honestly, I can't believe they're wearing the rank they're wearing. Honestly, and they're still succeeding. I just don't know how, because what you talked about is basically what is it? You can't do it without them. So if they're no good, they're no good to you. They're no good to anybody.
Right. And you're no good.
Absolutely.
You're no good. There was this.
I need my sailors. I need my sailors way more than they need me. Like where I'm at now, I have 40 sailors, right? 40 some sailors on the active staff, 600 reservists, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So
Right.
I can't do my job without them, but they can come to work every day without me.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
They
True.
can come and do their job without me. So I need them to do their job in order for me to do the things I have to do. So
Exactly. And there was this mirror that when I got inducted in 2011, I picked up chief in Japan on the USS Tortuga, and there was this thing they had a mirror and it had something written on it. It said, you're looking at the mirror, you're a direct reflection of your people, and your spaces are direct, and people are a direct reflection of you. So if you got a bunch of angry sailors, broken, then yeah, you about to start. Don't point there. Hey, you got to point your finger at yourself, because when you try to point your finger at somebody else, there's three more pointing at you. And
you're damn
I
right.
agree with you 100%, man. That's a perfect recipe. And that's kind of how I always did business, even with civilians, because I had to work with a lot of civilians too, and just treat them like people.
Yeah.
They'll do more for you. People will do more for you when they feel appreciated than if you beat them down every day.
You're damn right. They want to do it instead of having to do it.
And I always think of recruiting like lifting weights, right? Like if you go and you're doing 3 sets of 10 and you do a set of 10 and then you take like a 20-second break and you do another set, and then the next time you maybe take like a 5-second break, you're not going to be able to continue that weight, right? You have to recover. And I think recruiting is that way. Like we have to push hard and then recover, push hard and then recover. But if we're not allowing our sailors to recover mentally, physically, and all of that stuff, then we're not going to get 100% out of them the next day.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Because you need to recover. Otherwise you won't build muscle.
Right.
That's a good analogy.
It's just amazing. I just can't believe that success isn't easy. But if you think about it, if you have the right mind frame, you can be successful. And I don't consider successful making rank, because that's all dependent on the rate you're in. I know great people that retired as first class just because they weren't making any chiefs,
Absolutely.
But they don't mean they weren't successful.
And look, I always at Sailor 360, I always ask people what they think is the most important rate or rank. They always say Master Chief, this, then. I said, no. I said, it's first class, because you did enough in your career to earn a retirement for you and your family. Like that should be your goal. All the chief, senior chief, master chief, you damn right. It's a board. It's hopefully truth in reporting, right? If they wrote true facts on their evals. But you're right. It's a rate thing. But if you make E6 and you have to retire as a first class, be proud of what you did, because you earned a retirement. There's a lot of people that don't have that.
Exactly. And first class to me was the hardest damn job.
Oh, yeah.
That
sure
shit sucked.
It sure was.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're getting it from everybody. You're getting a business from up behind you, in front of you, on top of you. Woo. Yeah, you
Them were
come
some
in there,
long days.
dude, and you come in there and you're kicking ass, and you got to stab them back, you got to pull them knives out of your back.
Yeah, from all the other
Freaking
first
first class
class.
butt hurt because you got ranked higher than them. We're talking shit.
Oh man, I don't miss them days at all.
Hell no. Jamie, when Jamie was
Hey,
in first class, man, she'd be like, "Oh," I'm like, "Man, hey, better you than me."
And I got stuck at the first class level for a long time, so I was so in that line for a while.
Oh my God. And it's tough. And then every year, like the best part about making chief, besides having an impact, because now you have a greater impact on sailors, man, not having to take that exam anymore.
No, man,
Right.
ain't gotta go to that annual first class meeting.
Man, hey,
Yeah.
I've never taken an exam that I felt good about.
Hell
Never.
no, hell
I
no.
was like, okay, better luck next year.
I tell you that when I made board, because I'm gonna admit it right here in front of everybody, I didn't make board. I was sailor year and didn't make board,
Oof.
and I thought I made board on that test.
The results show
Man,
that was a lie.
yeah. Maury Parvers came on to the results show. That was a lie. But the next year I made it and made chief, but I studied, man. I didn't even study that much. I just actually studied. And I was like, I felt less stupid when I left. I still felt stupid.
Yeah.
I just felt less
Yeah,
stupid.
I was like,
Man.
I know when I did well, I was like, I knew a couple of them questions.
Man. That was
Man,
the best
I remember taking my first rating exam. Remember, I came in as an MA, they right away cross-rated me to actually SK, right?
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
then SK, and then like maybe 2-3 months later, they merged and they became an LS. So now I'm taking my first LX exam, and I still remember standing in line at Great Lakes. We're waiting to grab our exams. They split it in half, and the person who I was sharing the exam with, he's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "Are you nervous about that PC portion?" I said, "Hell no, I didn't know that SK portion." Hell no, I ain't nervous. Ain't testing me. So yeah.
Freaking LSs, man.
Good
They're my
times.
they're my buds on the ship because I was first I was a 3M coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was an ET by rate, so we're always having ship break. So they were always pretty tight. That's my drinking buddy, the LSC. But I had this young LS that ran in one of my. He was part of my shop because it was shore duty, and we had to have an LS for repairables. This dude, young kid, like maybe a seaman, LSSN or LSSA. This kid, man, always on his damn phone. It was the start of that generation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
shit was always jacked up. So I used to have him turn his phone into me when he came into work every day. Man, he was all. I said, look, if I see you on it again, when I know you got stuff to do, I'm gonna take it from you. Boy, he got mad, man. He got the red ass.
Oh yeah. He don't know what to do with his hands in his free
No,
time.
I thought I was gonna have a semio case against my ass.
That actually brings up a good point though. I think the hardest part with not just it's probably fleet wide, but I can only speak for recruiting or the sailors I deal with. Nowadays these sailors confuse accountability for abusive leadership.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
I hold you accountable because you made a mistake and you want to file a complaint saying it's abusive leadership. Like, no, you made a mistake. I'm holding you accountable. I'm training you to it, and we're moving on. But these young generation of sailors confuses those two.
Right. Because I noticed that when I first got to the Tortuga, I made chief like a week later. I went through the season, but I was a 3MC and I was a tyrant, man. I mean, but it was jacked up and they were about to, they had already failed and I just got thrown in there. I was, you better come correct, but I was a tyrant to everybody, not just enlisted. I was tricing up officers too. But and they were like, they were cool with it because I was in it with them. Like if they did anything, I was there. But if they kept screwing up, not listening, then, they get to business. But a year later, when I wasn't a 3MC anymore, because I was there to fill in. I get through inspection and the 3MC came in. But then I had like 5 semio cases against me. And I was actually nicer. I just think the times were changing.
Absolutely.
It wasn't anybody in division in my division. It was people outside the division because I would go around, darken ship, freaking red lights are on. You got Sailor A, Sailor B up in that corner, getting close. Take your ass to the mess decks, where it's lit up. Can't be doing that out here. And I was walking walking the streets, man. I was always
The best part, I'm shaking my head like, hell yeah, hell yeah. I've never been to a ship,
Oh,
so I'm
really?
picturing it.
I was on, I
Hey,
put myself on patrol.
oh,
But yeah, there's a big difference, and you brought it up. There is a difference in we'll say kids today. I don't mean to disrespect
yeah.
anybody in
hmm
sailors today or young
young
people
Absolutely.
today.
people.
That I noticed
Absolutely.
I noticed that change probably from 2010 to 2015. I noticed that change started happening with the amount of semio cases I started getting against
Mhm.
me. I mean, nothing ever
So you,
came out of it. It was not substantial, but you know,
yeah,
it's still a
Yeah.
pain in the ass.
it is. Like I was just having a talk. You guys have a region CR, Rob Leonard, Master Chief Rob Leonard, good friend of mine, one of my good mentors. And it's funny, when I left recruiting, I would get calls, and slowly those calls would start to dwindle, as I left the community. But Rob Leonard calls me weekly, maybe not weekly, probably 2, 3 times a month to check on me. And we talk about all those things. And that's one of the things we were actually just talking about, these young sailors coming in. And every once in a while, even as a command senior chief, I have to be humble. And every once in a while, he'll put his foot in my ass and tell me I'm making a mistake or I need to do something different. I don't take it personal. I just say, cool, Roger that, man. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
And we keep it moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do what he tells me. Sometimes I don't. I'm
Yeah.
at the point where I can make decisions on my own, but at least he has the balls enough to tell me I'm fucking up or tell me. And it's not always just you're fucking up. The one thing, he'll tell me I'm fucking up, and then he'll tell me why and what he thinks I should do. He don't ever say you should do this. He'll say this is what I think you should do, and I either take it on board or I don't. But majority of the time I take it. You know,
Yeah.
but like I said, a pay grade doesn't determine whether you make mistakes or not. We're human.
Heck no,
Right.
man. No, I tell you, I've
Mhm.
never got my butt chewed like I did when I was a chief. Well,
And they're
anyway,
personal ass chewings.
got
Speaking of
got the business.
Master Chief Leonard,
Yeah.
I just had my DLCPO board with him, and he
Mm.
tore me up. I
Yeah.
didn't
But I
pass.
promise you,
I
of
didn't
all the
pass.
people I've said both, but that's okay. That's not a direct reflection of you. You make some changes and you move on, right?
Right.
I've sat a lot of CR and ACR boards with him, and I promise his intent is always in the right place. I've met a lot of people, and I know a lot of great CRs and ACRs out there, but he's one of the I shouldn't say very few, but he's one of those that literally has great intent in everything he does. Like
Yeah.
there's no
After the
ulterior
fact,
motive.
he explained himself to me, and I was
Yeah.
like,
hmm
"Oh, you know."
Yeah. He's smart.
But
You
in the
you want to thank
in
someone
the
from
board, yeah, I
yeah.
was like, "Well, I don't
Mhm.
know."
I respect that because I'd have been like, yeah, take it, boot.
Yeah, but you would never think someone from and we call him because you would never think someone from West Virginia was so smart. Like he don't want you to know he's as smart as he is, but man, that dude's brilliant, man.
I
And
don't
his
know, man.
ass chewing's hurt.
I'm from Louisiana, man. I think I'm pretty smart. I don't know,
Hey,
but
with today's 10 ads, man, you a nuke. He's
Yeah, there you
dude,
go.
yeah. I
man.
mean, reason I didn't become a nuke is because they asked me, but that was in the '90s in Central Louisiana, and I was like, I'm not growing a third arm. Y'all kiss my ass. Y'all keep that nuke shit.
Oh,
Y'all keep that nuke test.
mhm.
I'd have
Yeah,
been
no, thank you.
I've been getting out making like 6 figures. I'm over here as an ET.
No, sir.
Yeah. Hey, the funny part about these nukes, and obviously in recruiting you love nukes, right?
Right.
But they'll come in, they'll be like, "So why you want to go nuke, man? Because I don't want to go to college." Like, man, I'll be in school for 2, 3 years.
Right.
But okay,
Right.
yeah, you're right. College ain't for you. Let's make you a nuke.
Let's make you a nuke. We'll just we'll throw 4 years of college down your throat in 2 years. Let's just do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's like college
Oh
on
man,
crack.
yeah. Oh man,
Man,
yeah.
man, I think you have an amazing career, man. It's so different.
Man, I
It
appreciate
actually,
it.
I knew something because I talked to Ryan Surecki about you a little bit,
Mhm.
and then Jamie, I said, Jamie, give me Danny's background, and then it all came together for me. And wow, it's awesome.
You can't
Mm.
throw a stick in Navy recruiting without hearing Senior Chief
Yeah.
Porcelli. He's my mentor. He's a great leader. I mean, there it's just like whispering in the hallways. We actually met in Norbert while I was down there this past summer when I asked you to be on the podcast, And I think you were just, I don't know what you were doing over there, visiting.
Probably just visiting. I still go back because
Mm.
my wife and kids live there, so a lot of times
Okay.
I'll swing through. I'll stop.
Yeah, he came in and talked to our class, and I said, hey, would you like to be on our podcast, whatever? But I mean, just the whispers, oh, that's Senior Chief Porcelli. That's Senior Chief Porcelli. Yeah,
Right.
I know him. Yeah, I worked with him. I mean, you leave a wake you leave a legacy.
Right. It's funny because I'm like, you probably can't see it, but like hearing those things make me blush because I know you're not supposed to care what other people think, but I think it's natural and normal to hope you left an impression.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I never worried about what the people above me thought. I never worried about the master chiefs, the senior chiefs, right? Because I just didn't. I always cared about what my peers and my subordinates thought. Like I care what they think. So to hear that, man, that's really flattering for real.
Yeah,
So thank you.
it's true, 100%. Because that when you were walking through the halls when you were leaving, they were like, "Oh, he's my mentor," or "I worked with him," or "I heard about him." You know, all
Hmm.
positive.
Thank you.
Man, damn. That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we wrap up, okay, you've been in what, 15 years in the Navy?
In the Navy, 15, right?
Okay, so you're sitting at Senior Chief Command, Senior Chief. What is Danny's goals, man? What do you, when you retire, what do you want to have accomplished?
By the time I retire, and it sounds corny. I never care about rank. If I make
Yep.
Master Chief, cool. If I don't, no big deal.
Yep.
Because all I care about is impact on sailors and quality of life for my wife and kids when I'm outside of work. Those are the only things I care about. I don't care about, and it worked for me in recruiting. Like I never worried about goal. I cared about impact on sailors. That impact on sailors made goal, right? It's just the
Right.
way it works. They know you care. They're willing to do things for you. But as far as when I look back on my Navy career, it's just so you know, it's almost exactly what your wife was just saying. The fact that I made an impact on people and stuff like that, man, that's a win for me. So I've been talking heavily to my wife about retirement lately because I don't want to geo bat. I'm geo batching now, which
Yeah.
luckily, my 18-year-old moved in with me. He's
Oh.
not here right now. Otherwise, you would hear me yelling him to keep it down in the background with his video game. But with him and his best friend moved in with me. But I'm not built for geo bats.
No.
I'm just not. So if they could get me back to Pensacola somehow, if there's some kind of orders to Pensacola, I would take them. But if not, or something close, maybe New Orleans, because I could live in
Yeah,
the middle and
it's
go home
close.
whenever.
Mhm.
Right. If not, it might be time to call it quits. I've been blessed to have a wife who has a great job. Right. So I'm not when you get to a certain level in the Navy, you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you truly love sailors, right? You love what you do. You love taking care of them. You love that. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope people look back and I leave a legacy at some point. I care more about legacy than I care about anything else because I hope I made an impact. So
Yeah.
if I did, I could sleep well at night.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's good, man. That's good. And what can you tell, like, because you're not a recruiter now, but you did the business for a long time.
I
What do you
did.
tell these young recruiters, man, that they're struggling? Or these older recruiters, these
Nah.
leadership recruiting leaders that are struggling?
What would I tell them? I tell them to keep their head up. They're not failing. Back in the day, Go Recaps told you how good you did. It was legitimately your report card, right? Don't buy into it. If you hold your sailors accountable, they're busting their ass every day, and you come home tired, you had a good day's work. You earn your pay that day. Yeah, it's tough. Like I'm glad I'm out of recruiting. I miss it. So I miss the sailors in recruiting. I miss the people of recruiting, but I don't miss coming home stressed every day. So to the leaders out there that you guys are busting your tail every day to do the right thing, and y'all got some great ones out there. When you when you lay down at the end of the night, go to sleep knowing you did a damn good job that day, regardless what them Go Recap say. Because it's tough, and the truth is, we've never seen stuff like this. Times have changed, people have changed. People won't join because of the vaccine or whatever the case is. Y'all dealing with stuff we never had to deal with. So criticism, take it on the chin. If it sounds like you could do some things better, try doing them better. I'll never feel bad about making a wrong decision for the right reasons. I'll never feel bad about that because every decision I make got the right intent. If it falls short or doesn't play out the way I wanted it to, I sleep well at night because I know I had the right. In my heart, I know I made the right choice, right, for the right reasons. So just bust your tail, give 100%. If you go home, like y'all came up short for the day, that don't mean you failed.
Nice.
You know, you did your job.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. We got to get a plug from you for Erica's business, though.
So my wife, a shameless plug. My wife's a realtor. So she's in Florida, Pensacola, Florida, but she can help anybody anywhere in the country. Can I give her phone number?
Yeah, man. Give it up.
All right, cool. Baby, hey, y'all blow up her phone. 708-257-6171. Best recruiter in the whole Gulf Coast, just so you know, and that's legit. Like, she sold the most homes in the whole Gulf Coast.
She has like trophies, right? And like, I see
she's slinging that property, huh?
Man, yeah, yeah.
4
years. This year she'll finish number one again. That'll be 4 straight years she finished number one in from like I think it's like I don't know, maybe like Shreveport all the way through Tampa, like that whole Gulf Coast. She's finished number one like 4 years straight.
Like North Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, one of them.
No, Baton Rouge maybe. Baton Rouge, yeah. Shreveport's
all the golf.
Yeah, Baton Rouge, yeah.
But if Shreveport looks better, just use that.
Yeah, Shreveport's like
whatever.
We'll take Shreveport.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Texarkana.
But the whole but the whole Gulf Coast. She just does an amazing job. And what people don't realize, she's up at 2-3 in the morning trying to find houses for people because they live in Japan or they do whatever. So she busts her tail. She deserves it.
Damn, nice. Yeah. Erica, right? You said Erica?
Absolutely. Erica.
Yeah. Hit her up.
Keep going, baby. You are my retirement plan, so keep going.
You got anything else for Danny before we?
No, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man. Hey, everybody, we just spent almost an hour with Senior Chief Daniel Porcelli. And I said it's actually Porcelli or Porcelli. I'm giving the Italian. But no, thank you so much for joining us. Dude, man, awesome career. Keep pushing it. Keep doing those things you're doing and keeping the Navy strong. We need people like you to stay in. I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to give up the keys to the house, but the Navy said I had to. But we got people like you still in, and people like Jamie still in.
Thank you for sure.
If you we're about to close out, if you can hang out for a minute, I appreciate it.
For sure.
And with that, we wish you
fair winds
and following seas.
Oh, me blame it.